Social scholars believe that employers' recruitment practices are responsible for the gendered segregation of occupations. These social scholars argue that persistent occupational segregation, especially in blue-collar occupations, is an outcome of lacking formal education and training opportunities reserved for women. Academic and training credentials influence hiring practices in different professions, with highly educated women using their credentials in transcending traditionally masculine professions. Male workers, who are important in training new entrants into the blue-collar professions, often prioritize men over women. The absence of codified hiring practices leaves room for the perpetuation of stereotypes and the manifestation of cognitive biases. Social scholars suggest that eliminating biases in the hiring stage could be achieved by institutionalizing more gender-neutral training practices. Regulating how people learn would reduce gendered segregation by countering socialization. For example, women prefer class-based learning to apprenticeships or employer-medicated training as an approach to avoid gendered discrimination. The knowledge of this fact should inform changes in blue-collar training, thereby minimizing the gender gap. Is that the complete story? People have a very strong tendency of working in occupations that reflect their traditional gender roles. Choices of traditional gender roles are a reflection of the fact that men and women are different. Breaking or going against gender norms carries with it a heavy social cost, with women being willing to take up this cost if the outcomes promise upward social mobility. Otherwise put, women are willing to go into male-dominated professions if available opportunities in female-dominated industries do not match the prestige and status of their male-dominated counterparts. At the higher levels of the occupational hierarchy, there are fewer female-dominated careers to pursue, a phenomenon that leaves women with no choice except crossing gender barriers. Women from working families easily transition traditional gender barriers owing to variations in their reference groups. The women from working families effectively transcend gender roles by moving into pink-collar professions, such as retail clerks, secretaries, and nurses, instead of moving into traditionally male blue-collar professions. However, women with uneducated or unemployed parents are more likely to work in blue-collar professions than they are to go into other high-paying professions. Women largely remain in gendered professions regardless of familial background, the exception being a mother in a high-paying job, which influences the daughter to pick a similar career path. It is possible that traditionally feminine professions are being unable to accommodate the new crop of highly skilled women, thereby pushing them into male-dominated professions in pursuit of upward mobility. Women's approach to the pursuit of upwards mobility ultimately leads to occupational segregation, even though this approach has largely been challenged by the fact that the choice of gender-segregated roles doesn't make economic sense. Despite the compelling case made by human capital scholars who argue that women prioritize work-life balance, hence why they choose professions they do, is it possible that women are irrational economic actors when it comes to the pursuit of the highest-paying professions? Is it possible that women find greater fulfillment in work-life balance while men prioritize higher earnings? Fighting for women's access to higher-paying jobs such as law and medicine has not been witnessed in blue-collar professions. It could be because people with egalitarian attitudes are more likely to benefit from the privilege of having a college education and hence pursuing high-paying professions. The lack of women in blue-collar professions could also be a lacking interest in women to work in the trenches. We're not seeing feminists and legislators enforce affirmative actions in mining, oil rigs, construction, and other trades professions like they are in the case of political leadership, corporate boards, and other executive positions.